Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I wanted to discuss possibly a common concern with other SEOs. Um, Resource allocation. Okay. So, I feel like there are a lot of buzzwords out there: page speed and core web vitals, page performance. How do all these things tie up into the greater performance of the website, into the business goals? How is all of this impacting um the alignment in reaching those goals? So I'm here to tell you that if you are prioritizing your image format, or cleanup and things like that, you may be prioritizing the wrong problems. And today I experienced something that was just like, why are we wasting these precious resources? Putting people into positions where they're overworked for what? It and like, okay, I'm sure there are other reasons for why we are overworking our devs and technical SEOs and things like that. But the problems that I'm looking at are poor quality content, um, weak internal linking, flat site structure. Okay. And then, um, for whatever reason, all of a sudden there's a fire drill to manually swap out image formats. Um, it felt to me like a complete waste of resources, to be honest. And it's sad because, that hardworking dev and hardworking people are just stressed out about all of this stuff, and then, feeling the weight of the world on their shoulders, because if they're the only ones, like, the team is relying on to do this, it's a unnecessary pressure. And yeah, I thought that I would just pop in here and kind of break it down. So, okay, if you're running ads and you're sending ads to a landing page that is like not loading um for 2 minutes or something like that, like, okay, that's a problem. You need to fix that. But if you are working on a website that, you know, loads within seconds, like the first content to full paint is, not horrible. It's not the worst performance I've seen, but then you're manually swapping out images on all of these pages. And when you have limitations in your site structure, nothing is um nested properly. There's no hierarchy, there's no topical association and grouping, and it's a mess. Okay. And instead of helping the site structure, instead of working on the internal linking, um or putting, more allocation towards, let's rebuild these pages with content, and instead we're doing what? Like, for what? You're going to change an image on a page? Great. That page was actually already loading within seconds. Um Under a minute. Like, it's like, what are you going to accomplish? Is there going to be any lead that comes through because you switch that image? And I'm just like, your priorities are out of whack if you're doing stuff like this. Um yeah, so I think it was more for like for show and it just yeah, I don't know. Sorry, this is a short one. I guess for those of you that, you know, might not be aware, but there are other factors at play that impact your ranking potential and everything like that. And if these pages are not internally linked in a strategic way, if you don't have quality content, like why aren't you starting there? Why aren't you starting there with your content? Why aren't you starting there with the site structure? When you're building out a website, you need to look at the foundation. And yes, that includes the image formats and things like that. And you could be setting up these websites to perform, to scale. And when you are overlooking these things and making it difficult for SEOs that are trying to, remedy all these issues, like I think that's um the key takeaway is okay, if you're going to build a site, like you need to do a little bit of like you need to get other departments involved. If your area of expertise is not in how do websites rank, you need to pull in other team members to help guide you. The UX, the structure, crawlability, the scalability of the site is going to be so important. And I'm sorry, I'm coming off like hot right now. Like, it just, it makes me sad that other people are having to have hard days. And then it's like, oh, okay, for what? Like, she did all that work. Um, for what? It's not going to help anything at this point. Like, we need structural changes and internal linking and all these things that will add up to the performance. Um, but the image, okay, you're going to change an image and get pissed about something about an image. Um, I think your priorities are a little misaligned if that's your main concern. Um, okay. Well, if anybody has any comments on the topic, you know, I'd love to hear it. And I appreciate, the devs' time and all of this stuff. So I think it's just so important when the SEO is prioritizing, you need to figure out what's the low lift, high impact initiative. Because if you're just, oh, okay, well, best practice says we need alt text. Okay, well, that's great. Um, but why is that your first priority right now? Okay, so anyways, and there are plugins that will automatically insert that on your image. So yeah, you don't want to like have the plugin bloat. I get it. But yeah, so that was my just topic of concern today. So please feel free to message with any questions, or if you want me to dive into something deeper, let me know. Thanks. See you in the next one.